All right, so I want to hear that, were you going to say the music or you want to do the music?
About your film? Well, let me tell you what I loved about doing her film.
Oh, come on, please don't lie.
Oh, no.
Come on.
This is the best.
Let him talk.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
We had to do this, do the scene over. And because of the fact that we had to repeat it, I had to kiss her. And then I kissed her maybe 100 times. It was just amazing. I was so, how lucky.
And it looked very
And I told him, didn't I, how lucky you are. Is that why you took the part?
He said, I am not kissing you again. This is what she said.
I have kissed that man enough.
So I want to talk about women in film, because you belong to...
Well, I belonged to Alliance of Women Directors for many years. And it's a wonderful organization because there's so much support there. And you don't usually find that so much. So belonging to this organization, if you want to do a film, you just have to reach out. They have such wonderful DPs and wonderful everything. Everything you need is right there, top notch.
I thought we pulled together a really tremendous crew. And it was such a great family feeling, which of course comes from the top, from the leadership of the director. It was such a happy crew. We had a great time, but also so talented. And everyone throughout, from the shoot to the amazing end song and the score and the visual effects and the color correction, the locations, Tierra del Sol, and they were so helpful. They were so caring and supportive of our crew. So it really was a great sort of family feeling on the show, and it was really fun to do.
This started as a play, and over at the Actors Studio I did the play. I did it just as a scene for the Friday studio session. And I just fell in love with this material for so many different reasons. And David Field wrote it, and I just fell in love with it. And I just could see it. It just was in my head as a film. I could just see it and feel it. And I thought, I must make this a film.
I don't know if you heard. It's Ann Dugan. At least it was when you knew me. Since then, it's been Ann Jeffers, Ann Epstein, Ann Winslow, and Ann Chambers.
Oh, well, hello.
I think a couple of things made me want to shoot the project. I think one of the main reasons was the people that were involved. Obviously, I met with Ellen and Jewel, and they were both very passionate about the project. So, that was a really enticing thing to work with some really passionate filmmakers, also that were women, and also just the project itself. My grandmother suffered from senile dementia, and I only really remember her from when I was very little, but I remember what a upsetting experience it was for my mother. And I think the story just touched a little bit on that, and it just seemed like a very sweet tale, of love lost.
Here's Anne, the woman that I played, who was so in love with her high school sweetheart. True love, and was, I suppose this wasn't in the writing, but in my backstory, that the parents sent her away to go to college in the East and live a certain life. Probably had some money and this and that, and wanted her to, be educated and go with certain people and stuff. And she was married several times. She gives a list of last names, and she really truly still loves Michael. And even though she's much older now, she does have the guts to come back and try to rekindle the romance that was her true love.
It's been a while.
Oh.
Yeah. 50 years. I came back for the reunion. Hamburg High, that was us. Do you remember?
What?
You know, in the old days, we called it the fatal flaw, right? Like the fatal flaw is the thing, overcoming that is, or not, is the thing that is transformative to a character, right? And so that imperfection is the heart of what makes people interesting.
You know, anytime you do something when you're really dealing with relationships, you know, with real, you know, see, that's the thing about it, is that when you really are able to sit and really talk to somebody and listen to them and feel what's going on with them, that's, to me, is what it's all about anyway. The truth of the matter is that I found a lot I find things about, when I play a character like that, I find out so much about myself. And that's what I found. I found something that was meaningful to me because of playing this role.
Did you find Charlie was lovely? Charlie Robinson, the actor who plays across from you, was the right person for the role in the sense of intimacy and
Yeah.
everything else.
Absolutely. I cast him. I thought about him. You know, as I know you, I know Charlie from the Actors Studio. I'd never worked with Charlie. And the most I've ever said to him was, "Hi, how are you?" And it's been, what, so many years. "Hi, how are you?" And so I love this material so much. And all of a sudden, because, you know, he's an athlete, and it shows in the yearbook, he's in football, basketball, this, that, and the other. And I wanted him to be sexy. I wanted him to be what an athlete would be, not all withered and whatever, and look fabulous. But he's not there. So, which to me is even more disappointing, because he would look like what she remembers but older, but it's not going to happen. And I talked to him about everything that was in my mind as Anne, and talked to him all about the script. I like to do script analysis. I'm really into that, specific. And I never really told him what to do, but I just told him this, what I thought about what was happening at the moments. And then what we did is he told me about his life, and I told him about my life. And something happened after that.
I mean, I knew that from that script, which was so beautiful already, then it would jump up to another level.
I also really identified with the fact that you can live your life and then still hold on to dear memories of when you were a teenager, because no matter how old you get, those memories of when you were a young person, they still feel like yesterday, you know, and those feelings that you had, they stay with you, you know, you don't just move on past them. So again, you know, that was like a very strong thing about the film, that, you know, these people have lived their life, but actually, you know, their connection feels like yesterday.
What? No, it's...
Oh, Michael! Here we are, a couple of horses' asses.
A couple of horses' asses.
I also think that it addresses post-traumatic stress, which was called shell shock back in the day, and I think that's such an important matter to deal with and to have out in the open. Years ago it wasn't, and now it is, and it has to be, and there needs to be more help. And so I was so happy that it dealt with that.
When you have been painfully hurt in your life, you know, you find something else, you know, and you try to block that out. And that's what I think has happened to him. But, you know, for instance, for being in the Army, what happened to him while he was in the Army, you know, and also because of the fact that he did, years back, lose his, you know, someone he loved very much. And, all, you know, and then there are other things that happened in the family, in his family, all these things now that he has had to block out.
The thing that really spoke to me was I actually had a grandmother who had Alzheimer's, though back in the day we called it senile, and she had gone blind as well. So she became more and more disconnected from the world, and she would play with children who weren't there. She would talk to people who weren't there. She was blind, she didn't see, so it was all in her head. And she was going back to other times. One of the things that always brought her back was music. If you started to sing with her, she would start to sing along. So that kind of someone is there and not there, and they're back and then they're gone. In and out, back and forth, and there's nothing you can do about it, and it just gets progressively worse. It just is the way it is, and you just have to learn to live with it and make the best of it that you can.
The reason that the film works is there's just so much emotion in it, and there's a journey involved, and I think there's realization from both parties within the film about seeing each other again and where they are and who they are and what's possible, that it's only really a brief moment that they can share again before they then have to leave each other for the last time.
The dance just, I made me cry every time. It works for me every time. It's just so painful and sweet and yearning and hopeful, and then dashed dreams. It really is tremendous.
Do you have anyone in your personal life that you base this on? Is that what you're getting at?
Yes, yes, I do.
And I was at the University of Georgia, and my boyfriend was in Morehouse, and then he went to Howard. And he was incredible, and sort of the love of my life.
Yeah.
And when I read the script, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
cry,
yeah.
oh God, I feel like I want to try to find him, just to tell him, because he probably has his own family and this and that, so
Right,
it's
right.
not about that.
No,
But just to
exactly.
tell him how much he meant to me
Right.
in my life, because people don't do that.
Exactly.
And then the people are gone.
So I would just say that, I just wanted you to know that you were very important in my life, and that you really helped me in my life, and you affected me, and in a positive way, and I just wanted to thank you. Are you married?
I love you with all my heart, and pray that we never part. We are young, I know, but never leave me. Say you'll never go.
The song is for the film, and that's because old school, when you went with somebody in high school, the girl would wear the fellow's ring around her neck, and that meant she's going steady with him. Talking old school. And you always had a song, that was your song. So I was walking with my dogs, Annie, and I was thinking, my God, Mike and Ann, the characters, have to have a song that they had. That was their song, that, anytime they heard it, it just went right to their heart, and it meant, their love together. It's almost like another character in the film. So all of a sudden, because I write poetry, and so it just came to me. So the actual music came to me, but the challenge was getting the dog and myself home before I forgot. So, which of course the music did forget. But I did have the lyrics, so as soon as we charged into the house, and I wrote down the lyrics, and that's the first time I've ever written a song, but I I really loved doing it. So
Holly Kavanaugh sang the song.
she sent it to me. I sang it on her iPhone, and I told you loads of people sent me auditions. She killed it, and I thought, that's it. That's what I hear. That's it. So I was so excited that she loved it, and I was so excited she agreed to sing it, and I'm so thrilled with the outcome. I'm just so thrilled.
It's fantastic.
I loved the song because the lyrics were really beautiful, and I think too, when it was written so easily and so fast, and I think those are like the most beautiful songs because it's just written and it's really, I don't know, the lyrics really touched me because it kind of reminded me of my grandparents too. Like when I listened to it, it kind of like took me back, so I would have loved to have sang it, and every time I sang it, they just came into my mind, so I really enjoyed singing.
I was always into blues and Motown. When I was in school, a lot of people were into Beatles and the Rolling Stones, but I was really into Etta James and James Brown and Marvin Gaye and the Four Tops and the Temptations and Tina Turner and, Aretha Franklin. And that's what got me through.
I grew up playing jazz and blues as a kid, so I knew some of that era. I was, too young for it, but I grew up with enough guys that grew up in that era, so I understood that feeling of, hey, lay back, cat, a little bit. Don't play too hard on that. Don't step on the vocals there. So I knew that kind of mentality.
For me, when I'm working on songs, the lyrics, I feel like I'm not even composing the music. I feel like all I'm doing is listening to the music that is coming from the lyrics. That relationship has been something that's been a part of me, I think, since I've been in the womb. So it's an integral relationship, and working with lyrics, my approach is really just to listen to the music that in my mind is already there. All I have to do is hear it and get it down.
It's a slow song, and you can just sing it and get into it and feel it. It's not really like a pop, like dance song where, I think because back then music was really, really music, and you could sing it and feel every note, every melody. So so because it was like an old school song, I love singing it because that's mostly what I listen to anyway, even now.
She sang it, and I fell in love with her singing the song. I mean, it was everything I imagined.
Did you feel she had a natural instinct for it, or how did you guys communicate the emotional levels you wanted in the song when you recorded it in the studio?
I talked to her about it, what it meant. I think that she understood, because she certainly understands the acting. She's doing great. So, and I think when I showed her the film, I just could see it in her, that she just cemented with the song and what it meant. And she just did it.
We listened to a lot of Otis Redding, we listened to Etta James, we listened to the instrumentation, and we went back and forth, laughed a lot, and Catherine was really on board too. I really had a nice connection with her immediately, so we were all speaking the same language. And I think I came over here late at night, we really sat down and listened to a lot of songs you liked. And then I said, okay, that's horns, that's this, that's drums, that's bass, that's what's making that. Because the basic song was already really good, we just needed that feel, that emotional feel you wanted.
You have all these different point of views. I mean, Ralph and I don't know if we've hung out in previous lifetimes, but we definitely had like this connection, and we like totally got each other. So even though we might have a different feeling about something or another, there was just good energy there pretty much from the get-go, I think.
It was really great working with Ralph and Catherine because it was great to get together with different producers and musicians, and Catherine did the melody and the music to the song, so it was great to sing it and be able to ask her questions and make sure that she was okay with this or that, because I didn't want to ever take anything away from what she created, so I wanted to make sure that everything was okay. And then having Ralph there was great because he was able to say, well, why don't you try this or try that, or maybe this will sound good. So it's always good to have different opinions.
I had discussed a game plan the night before because, we talked about who was going to talk to her. We don't want to overwhelm her like an actor. You don't want to have a director that's just in your face to the point where you're shutting the person down. So, in a way, acting, having to communicate as an actor and director helped me a lot as a producer, coaching the singers.
Like if you think about every song that you love and just the way, just the arc of the melody or how that note hangs in the air with that word, that's the magic that you want to capture. And also how the movement of the melody just makes everything that the lyrics is saying make sense. It's got to be that synergistic relationship. That's what you're searching for.
You have to find out that things don't always run smoothly. You have to do things sometimes over and over, but you have to do it the best you can, no matter what that takes. And sometimes it's upsetting, depressing, aggravating. A million emotions come up because it wasn't right or wasn't done the way you want. Then you have to continue and get it done that way.
So you went to the studio originally and it didn't quite come out the way you wanted. So
I went to studio the first time and
redo it, or
it did not have the sound I wanted. It was too modern, and I wanted real, and I wanted heartfelt, and I wanted a 60s feel. And so that's when I called you, and because your ex-girlfriend told me that you do music and this and that, and give you a call. And we just hit it off great because you actually knew what I wanted, and you worked so hard, and I so appreciate it.
And you have such a subtlety. You never studied music because you really understand the nuances.
I do.
Yeah.
Because I love it so much. But you know how I do it? I don't know anything about music. I really don't. But it's right in here. Right in here. I can feel it. If there's a little more of that, I just can feel it.
I do want to say I have to bring up one thing.
I can
so
feel
how
it.
was it for you? I gotta do the interview now. When Ellen got Ellen's body reacts.
Yes, my body reacts.
When she has a feeling.
When I have a feeling, my body reacts. If I don't think it's right.
We've been working on the whole song as the long version, let's call it, or the album version.
Yeah.
And we brought it in, we cut it down, we brought it into picture, and you reacted to it in a negative way.
It was too uplifting.
Yeah, it was too big.
Happy.
When you have this big long 3-minute song, you have to have big peaks and big valleys. And when you have a shorter song, to keep someone's interest, you have to bring in other instrumentation and orchestration. You don't always, but it's one way of doing things, and it worked for this song. And when we put it up against picture and we cut it down to only a minute or a minute and a half, a lot of that size was still there. And we needed to dramatically thin it out to make it work.
And you were alone with me in the studio,
Yes.
and I started to react. Well, if I know that it's not right, that's when I break out in the hives.
Okay.
When I know it's right, I can't tell you, it just does something to my heart and to my body, and it just takes me away.
I gotta do an imitation.
Okay.
All right.
So Ellen listens to music like
Yeah.
come at 11.
I'll show you how he comes 11
And Ellen's
or
all
12.
on feeling, right? Some, trying to get this just 60s sounding. I told you,
I wanted the 60s sound.
to get the
That was our song,
Yeah.
Ann and Michael's song in high school.
Right,
our love
Right,
song.
yeah.
to try to get the 60s sound. We had to get more of an analog sound. So it took a lot of time, right? So we'd come over and I go, "What do you think of this?" And she'd be
Okay,
like,
wait, it's at 12. He'd call me at 12 and he'd go, "You up?" "Well, I'm up, I don't sleep." "Yeah, I'm up." He goes, "Well, I'm going to come over." "Okay, come on." So
Okay.
So she's like this, listening to it, and I'm listening to the song, and the whole thing is like this. I'm going, is it sick? Are you a student? Is your head on the desk?
Am I
I don't
asleep?
understand what's going on here. It's just like,
That's
and
how
then
I
she's
had
like, hold
to
on 1
listen.
minute, and this thing goes on. This thing goes on and on and on. So I got used to it after a while.
And then you started to listen. I'd be here and he'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
there.
Yeah. It was hard work. It took a lot of nuanced. It took a lot of remixes. It took a lot of getting an analog sound versus digital. It was a lot of things. And we got lucked out with getting Eric Luis Gonzalez on who plays horns for Earth, Wind and Fire. That was a very lucky break, and he decided to come play on it with another friend of his, and it was gorgeous.
I started to play trumpet age of 7.
7.
That's a long, long time ago. In Cuba. You know, it's like I always loved music. I started with percussion and then marching band. And then from there I went to school. My mom didn't take me to school because she saw a lot of potential in me. And then went to school, and then I got the graduation. Then I spent in the school like 9 years studying classical music.
Oh.
Yeah, classical music.
Was that in Cuba?
In Cuba.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that's it. And then playing around, do recording, playing with different kind of music, jazz.
I started music roughly around 11 years old, and in elementary school, I started with a little recorder. That was my audition, and then from there, I didn't learn how to read music. Everything I learned was by ear. Mm-hmm. My father was a mariachi trumpet player, and so I kind of got the music bug early on in life.
Can you tell us about the paper? Tell her about the paper.
Oh, how you put the paper over the horns that time?
Oh.
Remember you did that paper trick?
For the sound. It's the trumpet have like you can play around with the sound with the bell. You can put it in water. You can have like weird sounds. A lot of people use it for recording because it's like something like And then you put the paper to get the kind of like a mute, like intimate sound.
It's like a softer tone.
The arrangement come out like easy because it's a beautiful song.
And for me, when I heard the voice, I was like. I was kind of like taken away to a different, world.
So it touched
really beautiful.
you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
In today's process of making music, sometimes that aspect of relationship is lost. And what we really had to do in producing the song is make sure that it was really felt. The relationship between the musicians and the singer and the back in the day where they would just spend ages in the studio and have the time to make it happen, and we don't have these luxuries and these budgets anymore, or it's just it's a different time, but we were trying to recreate that. So it was a really cool experience. I really feel like it was music making, and it's something that I wish was pursued more in this day and age.
I heard an amazing quote, which I can't quite, I'll never get it right, but the gist of it from Hugh Laurie, the actor, which was, don't wait to be ready because you'll never be ready.
I feel like Anne's a hero because it's the 50th year anniversary for high school, and she goes back and she tries to do what she wants to do finally in her life. That's a hero.
If there's something you would want people to take away from the film after they saw it, what would that be?
I think from Anne's point of view, from going into Anne's body and head and mind, that you have to go for it. You go around once and you don't know what's going to happen. That's the surprise of life. And sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. But that's what keeps you going, because you don't know. And that she at a later stage in her life has the guts to do this. She went to the high school reunion just to see him, and she did it. I feel she's a hero. Never mind how it resulted, that she's a hero.
Hold me tight, oh hold me strong. Come away with me, my love. We have blessings, blessings from above.
Go for it in your life. Go that extra. Go what your fantasy is, or what you go for it and see what happens. You never know in life. And I think she still loves him. She still loves him. She still loves him. And I think he still loves her.
You are an angel sent to me.
God bless you, Michael. I think about you every day.
I will love you forever. Can't you see?